Really nice weather we've been having the last few days, so hopefully everyone's gotten outside and got to enjoy it a little bit. A few updates on my end, and then we'll open it for some questions, comments, concerns, and anything anyone has on their mind. So first, on the side, we had a really great event the other night on Tuesday where we honored a number of our first responders. We're so fortunate to have so many great first responders here in the borough of Fair Lawn, and we created a wall of honor to recognize those who contributed to our community. The Each one of our departments, such as the Office of Emergency Management, Heavy Rescue, the Fire Department, the Ambulance Corps, and the Police Department, got to nominate two individuals from each department. And now in the preceding years, they'll be able to nominate one per department as well. It was a great event. I want to thank our borough manager, Jim Van Kroonigen, and our chief of staff, Wendy Alvarez, for putting it together, and Bobby Krankel, who set everything up. Great event, and I got to speak to some people who've since retired from some positions I haven't seen in a while. So it was great to see them and thank them again for all their years of service to our community. The other update we have on the borough side is that you might have seen recently, Fair Lawn was ranked number 2 as the most sought after town in Bergen County. Really excited about that and how Fair Lawn has progressed over the last few years. I hate how Ridgewood's number 1 based on our high school rivalry we used to have back in the day. But we made significant gains over the years. And we keep kind of climbing up that ladder. And we keep seeing it in all these studies and all these reports and all these rankings. So I can't thank you, the residents, enough for everyone working so hard and giving back to this community and making it what it is today. And so we had that. And then lastly, you might have seen around town, there's a number of new park signs that are putting up. They look great. We have them in Fair Lawn's colors, green and gold. Those are the borough colors. And I want to thank our Parks Department for putting those together, our DPW crew. A lot of the signs that you see throughout Fair Lawn, they do in-house, and they really do an amazing job putting that together. Saves us significant funding, and it's really helpful, and it's really sprucing up the town, and really want to say thank you to them for putting those together. Those are the updates I have on my end. If anyone's new to this, you just type any questions, comments, concerns you have, and I'll do my best to answer them. Mellow sighting, yes. Our puppy is behind me checking everything out. Glad to see another Facebook Live update. Thank you, Stan. Well, thanks, Stan, for joining. Yeah, we shifted them over. We used to do these weekly, but we made them monthly. They were a little bit slower during the week, so monthly they go on a little bit longer. So thanks for joining. Keep these active. It's also really exciting just seeing people around town commenting on them, and they do find them still very informative, very helpful, and it's a good way for people to have a conversation about our community. Hello, Mr. Mayor. Hey, Tanya. Thanks for joining. Congrats on the ranking. Thanks, Ruel, and good job at basketball last night. I did not bring my A game. I noticed facades have been improving on Moorlot. Thank you for your help there. Looking great. Oh, thank you, Melissa. I got to really thank our Main Street committee for doing that. We created a facade program a few years ago, and we did a pilot program with a number of businesses throughout Fair Lawn, and we're continuing to add to that as well. So JJ's Pub, American Pastime on Broadway, as well as a couple others were recently changed. Hong Kong over on River Road came out beautiful. So we're really excited for that. So if you rent a business or own a business here in Fair Lawn and you want a facade upgrade, reach out to our Main Street district and they'll be sure to get in touch with you and try to make it happen. It's a great committee and they're working really hard for the borough of Fair Lawn. I can't thank them enough for all their hard work. Alan and Ryan and Amy and everyone's doing such a great job over there. I'd love to know whether there are any development about the program for seniors who live alone. Yeah, so we reached out to the county to get some support for that. We've also reached out to our senior center. So what we do currently are for a number of seniors that do live alone that they're aware of. especially at our center. If they don't hear from them, then they'll reach out to them. We're also trying to find out if there's some seniors who aren't engaged with our community in any way and we don't have any information on them, how we can try to gather that information. But those who do partake in, say, our senior citizen activities, they have been contacted if they don't show up. So we do kind of have a program where we do contact people just to keep track of them. But we're trying to develop that a little bit more. But thank you for bringing that up to our attention. As I've been doing more of a deep dive in it, I found that we do have some extremely wonderful employees here at the borough who do go above and beyond for a number of our residents who do live alone. Store facades. Oh, good, Melissa, I got it. Oh, bond rating update. Yes, so on October 5th, Fair Lawn became aware that we retained our AAA bond rating. We got that about a few years ago for the first time in Fair Lawn's history, and a very important thing for us was to maintain it. By having a AAA bond rating, it means that when we go out for bonds, our interest is extremely lower than what it would be if it wasn't AAA bond rating. So to date, we've saved well over $1 million through this AAA bond rating. I want to thank the council and especially our CFO, Karen Palermo, our borough manager, Jim Van Kroonigan, and all our department heads. Everyone was working really hard to try to get that AAA bond rating. I know when I was first elected, that was one of my number 1 goals, and I'm so happy we got there and we're maintaining it. It's a big win for the borough of Fair Lawn. Not a lot of communities in New Jersey have that AAA bond rating, so to be one of the few really says a lot about our community. 10. What is going on with Nabisco? So Nabisco was bought out through Greek development for $146 million. Very high price tag. The first thing that they did, as you can imagine, every developer wants to provide housing in Fair Lawn. We did not want any housing. I know I speak for the whole council when I say this council does not like all the multi-units that have been going up in Fair Lawn, but based on a court mandate, it's called the Mount Laurel decision. If you haven't done any research on it yet, I definitely advise you to Google it. There's about 5 different Mount Laurel cases. Every municipality in Fair Lawn has to provide affordable housing. We have met our quota up to 2025. What that means is that we can now say no to developers who want to provide housing in Fair Lawn. If we did not meet our affordable housing needs, that would have been thousands of units. So we're very happy we did that. So the next step was a Greek developer came with a proposal. Nabisco area is our industrial zone. So based on their proposal, it did go in line with the master plan that was developed in 2014. For those who don't know, every community has to develop a master plan. Once you have a master plan, if you want to go outside of that master plan, you then have to go to our boards for a variance. So right now, the planning board did approve the proposal for a warehouse there. There was 2 separate traffic studies. Both of them came back with little to no impact. As everyone knows, Nabisco did a lot of trucking as well. So when they did a traffic study based on the amount of bays and what would be going in there, they didn't see an impact on the traffic study. And then the big thing that we saw is a big difference in the environmental impact. I did take some notes down so I could get this all accurate. So I'm just going to, I don't usually read from paper, but I'm going to do this for this one. So as everyone knows, the property was contaminated by Nabisco. There was an issue with the water underneath. Now that Greek development owns it, construction will not go forward until the site is remediated and permits are issued by the DEP, that's the Environmental Protection, and the project is also being overseen by the Department of Labor. If Nabisco was still there, the groundwater underneath would not have been cleaned up. The redeveloper will work with Fair Lawn, Glenrock, and the state to redirect traffic away from Maple Ave and onto DeBauer. The number of trailer spaces was reduced from 120 to 100. Nabisco, when they were there, had 100 trucks that were parked there. The new building will be LEED certified. The roof is 100% solar ready when only 40% is required by law. Conduits will be provided for future electrification for trucks. 20% of spaces will have electric hookup for cold storage truck. There's also been, the applicant will plant over 1,300 trees in consultation with the Borough Arborist, Engineer, and Shade Tree Advisory Committee. Vegetates bioswales added shade tree and parking lot. Significant changes made to exterior to comply with demands of visual impact subcommittee. Applicant will return of planning board if additional employee park spaces are necessary. Sidewalk will be provided to connect Pollitt Drive to the promenade. Bike racks will be provided, and state idling statute will be enforced and signage posted. The other big thing too with this development is that Nabisco was grandfathered in. They were categorized as a grade D pollutant. So there was no really ramifications for them polluting our air. This new development was not grandfathered in and cannot have a grade D pollutant license. So the air quality of Fairlawn will be dramatically better as well. Look, I'm like everyone else. I would have loved it to be a park. But in the end, that area has been zoned for industrial since the 1950s. It was in compliance with the master plan, so it's going forward. So we're happy. Environmentally, we'll be better off. There's not going to be a major traffic issue. It's going to be a huge rateable for the borough, and it's not going to be housing. CDC hosted a meeting for Fairlawn residents at the end of summer and is currently investigating pediatric cancer clusters in our community. Do you have any update on this that you can share? Thank you. No, Olga, at this point, no, there's been nothing that they've found. To those who are aware, unfortunately, there was a student that passed away way too early from Radburn Elementary School, and there was a couple other cases. So as you can imagine, we quickly notified the state, and they are doing review on it. But as of now, there has been nothing found. Keep up the good work. Oh, thank you, Maribel. I appreciate it. Why is it that when some construction is going on, for example, PSC&G fixing the water break, when they finish, they're doing such a terrible job patching up the road? It's like a roller coaster when driving, especially on Maple. They're uneven. It's ridiculous. I can't agree more with you on that one. It's extremely frustrating, and I know that a couple of mayor conferences that I'm part of bring this up. So what we've tried to do as a borough is if PSE&G has some work that they're planning on doing, and this is the other issue. When PSE&G tears up a street, if they only tear up half of it, they're not required to pave the whole street, which is absurd. So they cut up half the street, and then the other half looks totally different. So, and I want to thank our borough manager and DPW because they've gone ahead of this, and they're now working with PSE&G where if there's any scheduled work, that they will hold off paving that road till that work is completed, and then both sides could then be paved together. The other issue is that, as you can imagine, not every construction project is planned. If there is something that goes wrong and they have to get into the road, then they just go in there and repave it. This is something that myself and a bipartisan coalition of mayors are bringing to the state's attention. We really want them to require that the state makes PSNG pave a whole street, not just do the patchwork. It doesn't look good and it's not helpful. I was actually I had a basketball game with my older son this evening, and just driving down Ridgewood on Ackerman was a complete disaster. And you could see the patches all over the place. And I know the residents of Ridgewood aren't happy about it. I wasn't happy driving about it. And you know it's something that PSNG did and needs to be fixed. Greek Development is not doing any residential housing. There is none in their portfolio. Yes, Olga, Greek developers were not the only company that was interested in purchasing the property. As you can imagine, there was a number of developers that wanted it for housing that would have offered more than $146 million for the property. But once it was told to all these developers that we would not allow residential housing in Mondelez, then they did not go forward with it. That's great. How does the water quality at Nabisco affect us? Sorry if this was addressed. No problem, Corey. Great question. So the issue with that area is that's our industrial park, right? So there was a number of businesses that were there. And what they did back when they didn't oversee this stuff, is they allow the pollutants to go into our groundwater. That groundwater then seep through. What we've done is we've shut down the wells in that surrounding area. What we then did was require that the ones who made the pollutants then pay for the fix. Fortunately, we had the federal government agree with us. So $20 million is currently being invested, and the work is currently occurring right now to do huge upgrades for those filtration systems in those wells. At the same time, I want to say about, was it 8? It was when Ed Czerwinski and Jeannie Barada were on the council, so I guess it would be about 10 years ago. There was a study that was brought in by the state that showed where the plume was originally. That plume has shrunk significantly, and it continuously shrinks. Now with this development that's going with the Greek development underneath by Nabisco, they're now required to get rid of the plume in that area, which is going to help us speed track this a lot faster. Based on the proposal we have from the state, it would have taken a lot longer because it is an expensive thing to do. But once a property is redeveloped, it has to clear a number of environmental hurdles. And in this case, it really helps us out financially and environmentally. Please save the video if possible. Yeah, of course. These videos are up. I don't touch them once we're done with them. Mr. Mayor, can you tell me clearly what the rules are about overnight or daily parking on this street? Yeah, so the first one with daily parking is you just have to abide by the signs. So there are some signs that you'll see on some streets where they say like no parking 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. You got to abide by those. And that's everyone, even the residents that live here. How those signs and those rules are developed is it's actually a very democratic process. So, and we're going through this right now. So if anyone's familiar with Carroll Place, sorry, I might go a little bit off, but I think this is helpful. Carroll Place, which is off of Plaza Road when you come off of Route 208, it's a dead end. And the big issue that they're having there is that Uber Eats and DoorDash, all those drivers are parking at DoorDash because it's a good central location for them. Those residents obviously don't want them parked there. So what they're doing now is they put together a petition signed by the residents saying, we want no parking here from 12 to 3. That petition then comes to the council. The council works with our traffic safety department to make sure it's accurate, review it, and then we vote to approve it. I can only speak for myself, but I've seen firsthand Carroll Place is a mess with these Uber Eats and DoorDash drivers. So I am in favor of having no parking from 12 to 3, as the residents are. So a lot of the signs that you see for the daily parking are just based on what the residents in that community want. On the second one with overnight parking, to get overnight parking, you need to have a hardship permit. So it goes through our police department, and you have to sell a case to our officers of why you need it. It could be you have a relative that's staying with you for a year. It could be you have your high school child just got their license and your driveway's not wide enough yet for a third car, so you need this for a time being. So that's the process for both, and based on the rules for both daily parking and overnight parking. I hope that helps. And to follow up, the Fairlawn Building Department issued a demolition permit for the former Nabisco building without making sure all the asbestos had been removed. The EPA and Department of Labor are currently investigating noncompliance with asbestos abatement. Do you have any update on this? What has been done by the council to protect its residents and the nearby communities? Yeah, nothing. I've never seen that or heard that before, Olga. Anything that gets removed on that property has to get verified by the state first. That's the reason why the upper part was not taken down, and it's taking a lot longer because it's taking a lot longer from the asbestos. What has been done to protect the residents? Everything in our powers. The safety and health of our residents are our number one concern. Okay, that's it. Clear and simple. Number one, health and safety. Beats everything. And look, I am extremely invested in this community. On top of myself, my wife, my kids who live here, I have 6 nieces and nephews under the age of 6. I have my 99-year-old grandma. I have my parents. So when you talk about my 99-year-old grandma and my nieces and nephews, you're talking about the most at-risk individuals because of any health concerns. That's what comes first. And I know I'm not unique. I know there are a lot of people here in Fallon who have a number of family members that live here. And that's our number one priority, is health and safety. Always, always, always. And I know I speak for the whole council and all our borough employees when I say that. Health, safety, number one. Everything else comes after. Thank you for everything you do. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Gabby. It's it's been quite busy, but I really appreciate the residents of Fair Lawn. When I took this position, a lot of people said it's a thankless job, but I've received a lot of letters, phone calls, text messages, and I really appreciate the thank yous and people reaching out. It means a lot to me. I love that we're number 2. Thank you, Paula. Me too, and I can't wait till we're number 1. I told Ridgewood we're coming for them. I have a meeting. We have the Northwestern Bergen County Mayors Association meeting. I'll be seeing the mayor of Ridgewood, and I'll make sure he knows that too. There's currently an accident investigation ongoing in Fair Lawn. Streets are closed near Maple Ave. Police tape surrounds the area. Use caution in the area. Yeah, unfortunately, there was a drunk driving accident. It looks like on Lincoln and Wagra. That's something I really have no patience for. If you're going to drink, get the hell away from a car. So I want to thank our police for being on the scene very quickly and being there to make sure we're safe. Is there a noise ordinance on vehicles with loud mufflers? Yes, there is. And it's something we've been working really hard to enforce. Where I live, we hear it on Route 208, and I know there's a number of people around town who've talked about it as well. So we are working on enforcement on that. But yes, there's a noise ordinance regarding loud mufflers. And another question, if I could, I love the Facebook Lives. They're always super informative. Oh, thanks, Olga. And I really do appreciate you going to all the planning board meetings and being an informed, active resident. It's really what makes Fairlawn such a great community. The newly approved Greek Development Warehouse is prepared to add more daily trips to our roads. Can we look into installing the signs limiting the trucks over 4 tons on our local roads, especially near the schools where many children walk to from school daily? Yeah, I believe we already have them established, but if not, we'll double check. But yeah, a lot of our local roads do not allow trucks on them already. Hi, what can we or I like the I. Good, Connie. What could we or I do about the issues I'm seeing daily on Cadmus and Bel Air? Every day in the early morning at school time and after school, there are cars that are speeding and not stopping properly at the one and only stop sign on Cadmus. This is right by the high school and Sasso. It's insane driving and reckless driving. I see it every day as I have to pull in and out of my driveway to drop off and pick up my school kids. I'm concerned with the high school kids that walk around there. Yeah, thank you, Connie, for bringing that to my attention. So I'm just writing this down real quick. So what we do is I'll reach out to the borough manager tomorrow morning. What they'll do is he'll reach out to the police chief and the captains, and then we'll step up enforcement over there. Unfortunately, sometimes it does take a few tickets to get the message out, but our police department has done a wonderful job in the past that when an area is brought to our attention where there is speeding or people not abiding by the laws, they come for enforcement, and it does seem to improve the situation in that area. So I have taken note of that, and I will definitely inform our professionals. The way a number of the drivers disregard the stop sign is dangerous. Yeah, I mean, that's really frustrating. I've seen that in a number of areas where people pretend a stop sign is a yield sign. It's scary. Oh, hey, Ellen. Thanks for jumping on. Hope everything is well with you. Ooh, it's a long one. Speaking about the wells, I live directly across from the well on 11th Street that was shut down in 2016, I believe. I understand there will be a facility built there soon to better filter the contaminated water, potentially started next month, according to what I read. What's the deal with the air quality being affected by the evaporation of the contaminated water, and is it still an issue being this close in proximity? In your opinion, should we try and get the EPA to test the air quality inside our home? As you know, it's a rental. I've mentioned to the owner years ago that this might be a health concern and it was disregarded. What's the fastest and most efficient way to determine if that's a real concern for us after 16 years living here as renters and not the owners of this property? Hey, Dave, great question. So right now, with the EPA, we haven't heard any concerns. It really won't be much of a new facility. Most likely, this will be more improvements to what we already have. But that will be taking place. You are correct in that. And there were some residents that were giving tests to check the air quality in your neighborhood where there were some concerns. So far, those come back negative, and at this time, the EPA was pretty confident in everything that's gone on over there. But if you would like, send me an email, mayor@fairlawn.org. We can get you one of those tests as well, so you can test the air quality. But fortunately, knock on wood, everything's come out okay. And I have spoken to a number of residents in your neighborhood about 3 weeks ago who went through the testing process and were very happy with obviously the results, but also the process. I think we definitely have an issue with speeding all over. Can't even get one car to stop on Fairlawn Ave to let people cross. Yeah, Zena, it's not a Fairlawn issue. It just seems like it's happening all over the place. It's like people after COVID had to relearn how to drive. Just speaking to other elected officials across this state, a lot of the issues that we're seeing here in Fairlawn post-COVID are also happening other places as well. So we're really working on stepping up enforcement. That really seems to drive it is when they start knowing there's a police presence and there's more enforcement. It goes a long way. When will the new pickleball courts be ready? I see they are making progress. Ooh, Valerie, that's a good question. I'll follow up with you hopefully soon. I'll speak to our professionals tomorrow and try to get a good estimate of when they're going to be ready. We're really excited with that being installed. We know the popularity of pickleball has grown immensely, so having all these additional courts are going to go a long way and should be a lot of fun and keep everyone active. So hopefully you'll be enjoying them soon, but I'll respond to that tomorrow and post the answer there for anyone who's curious. I love that quote. If you're going to drink, get the hell away from a car. I'm going to use that when talking to all the college kids I know. Thanks, Sheena. Kind of spur of the moment. But there's certain things I really don't have much tolerance for. Thank you so much. You're welcome, Connie. Thanks for the great questions. What can be done about the cars blocking the Fairlawn Ave and Plaza Road intersection when a train is in the station? When a train is in the station, it happens almost every day during the morning rush hour. I pass there between 7:40, 7:55. It never fails. Cars pass the intersection even during red lights. Okay, so that's very helpful. Thank you for giving me the time that occurs, because again, we can start monitoring it and stepping more enforcement. But yeah, it's there's certain times I feel like driving around Fairlawn where it gets like really crazy. That morning span, 7:30 to 8:15, where everyone's rushing for work and school, and then you're also seeing it at 5 o'clock when everyone's rushing to get home. And then also obviously 3 o'clock when schools are out in certain areas. Really again congested, and everyone tries to be at a light when you can't. So that's something we'll definitely look at. And you might have seen too. Some towns, they create like these squares where you can't block the intersections. They have the whole square marked out. That may be something we have to do in Fairlawn as well. What action do we take to stop the vehicles with the noisy mufflers? Finding them. It seems to be an enforcement concern. So if you do have noisy mufflers, we need to enforce it and start giving out tickets to those people who are not abiding by the ordinances. Awesome. Great to hear that. Thank you, Kurt. You're welcome, Dave. Dave, I can connect you with the people of EPA. I've been in touch. Oh, thank you, Olga. Can we get speed bumps on Plaza Road North? No, Angelica, unfortunately, they don't qualify. Plaza Road North, because of the turns, it has to be a straightaway. And that's not a council rule. That's actually a state ordinance. So the state oversees speed bumps and speed tables. So there's a number of requirements. One, you have to have more than 1,000 cars pass within a 24-hour span and less than 3,000. The other thing is you can't have a turn. We looked on doing them on 20th Street too, but the issue with 20th Street was the turn. It needs to be a straightaway. So with Plaza Road North with the turns, that would be very challenging, and the state would not allow it, unfortunately. Can you play pickleball with a pickle? You could try. Paving is being completed at the pickleball courts this week and next, and that should open to the public in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Unfortunately, the rain weather has delayed this project. Thank you, Councilman Reinitz, for being on top of it. So I don't need to post the answer. So 3 to 4 weeks. Cross your fingers, no more rain. We've had enough of that on the weekends. Once the sale of the Dollar Tree building goes through, what influence do we, the residents, have, if any, in what actually goes there? Oh no, we always encourage the residents to come and voice their opinions. So once the sale goes through for the Dollar Tree, there'll be a number of public hearings, public meetings to discuss. So once that happens, then that's when we'll start discussing it. Currently, I know I've been asked about this a lot. Currently, it's not finalized yet. We haven't been privy to a lot of this information. Unfortunately, the person under contract and the owner have signed NDAs, which are non-disclosure agreements, which I think are ridiculous. So they can't share a lot of information with us, which is absurd. But that's where we're at right now. So they're now working things out. And once we hear anything, and once I hear anything, as you can see by this Facebook Live, I'm an open book with everything that's going on. So I'll be sure to let the residents know. And there'll be a number of public hearings for the residents to voice what they want to see there. How can we request to have a street repaved? Tierney and Hillside Terrace are busy and are not in the best shape. A new paved road would be nice. So Marzina, what you would do is our engineering department oversees the repaving. So what they do is they have a list of all the streets and they have it marked what year they're due to be repaved. If they see that a road is in need of being repaved a lot quicker than it's earmarked, then they'll move it up on their list. So if you send me an email, mayor@fairlawn.org, I can let you know when Tierney and Hillside are scheduled to be repaved. And then what we'll also do is our engineering department and DPW could take a look at those streets and see if it should be moved up, if there are some areas that need to be patched in the time being, and all of that stuff. We had someone last month on the Facebook Live bring up 2 other streets. So our DPW did put some patches on just for the time being, and then we provide the date, the year when it is due to be repaved. So just send me an email and I'll be able to give you that information. And just so everyone knows too, this council has provided an additional over $300,000 per year towards repaving our streets. It is very expensive to do so. We also think it's very important and it keeps up with the ambiance of the town. Can we add a virtual option, live or Zoom, for the residents during the planning board meetings? So that would be something that you would have to ask the planning board. For those who don't know, the council has no jurisdiction over the zoning board or planning board. Those are separate entities. So we couldn't tell them how to run their meetings. But if you go to one of their meetings and you suggest this, that would be something they would then consider and make a decision on. But I cannot advocate for that or tell them to do that. Thank you. You're welcome, Melissa. Has some consideration been given to speed bumps or a median on Henderson Boulevard now that ShopRite has drawn more traffic to this part of town? Is that something that's underway? I'm not sure if we've done a traffic study on Henderson yet, Dave. Let me find out. I'll put that one down too. I can cross off the pickleball again, so thanks, Josh. So Henderson. So Dave, if you don't mind sending me an email, mayor@fairlawn.org. If we did do a traffic study on Henderson, I could look into it and see what the results were. And if we haven't, that's something we can do. So what generally happens for a traffic study is our police department, through the traffic safety department, puts up a monitor, and they'll track how many cars go through for a 2-week period. They'll direct the amount of cars, the speed of the cars, so they get all the different averages. So it's actually really useful to get a lot of important information out. But yeah, if you send me an email, we'll definitely get that going. Thank you. You're welcome, Arzena. Thank you. I will reach out to them directly. Oh, great. Thanks, Olga. So we got to the end of the questions and comments. I just want to add one thing before I get off. There was a number of residents I met with, almost close to a dozen, that live on, so they live on Ryder and Berdan. And where that area is actually the lowest point in Fairlawn topographically. So they have Berdan Hill, the Berdan coming off of Plaza, and also Maynard. So they have all these hills kind of pouring in to like the lowest point. So they had some issues with flooding. So what the council did was we set aside some funding to do additional piping to try to help out with it. And I really want to thank the residents for Berdan and Ryder, because we had a very productive meeting this week where they came in, we discussed the issues, and we did a CME, a private contractor came in, did a study, and we're going to be getting that study back within the next couple weeks. We'll be sending that out to the residents, and then we're going to have a discussion with everyone at our council work session. Ideally, it'll be the one in November. But if you do see any issues that are kind of unique to where you live, please let us know. I think when you bring it to our attention and we can get on top of it real early, it really saves us a lot of headaches and we get everyone else on board. We did something similar on 2nd Street where they had an issue with geese. And I met with probably about 24 residents over there. When I came to meet with them, I saw the geese firsthand. So we actually got private contractors to remove the geese. And that's been really helpful for those residents. So a lot of neighborhood issues that might be in just one certain area, it's really helpful when you bring that to our attention. We can get on top of it and address it as soon as possible. So I want to thank those residents who've done that already. And if you have any issues, just bring it to our attention and we'll do our best to resolve that with you working with us. Because when we come together, that's when we get the best results. I have your email. I'll follow up. I was asking for a friend on Henderson who mentioned it. Thanks again. Awesome. Great. Thanks, Dave. Thank you so very much for your time and help. You're welcome, Tanya. Thanks for joining. Thank you for continuing these lives. Your time and transparency is appreciated. Oh, thanks, Zena. That means a lot. Awesome, guys. Thanks so much for joining. I hope everyone has a lovely weekend. It looks like we're going to get more rain, unfortunately. But if there's any sun, hope to see you around Fairlawn. Take care.
Down the street with the brim pulled way down low. Ain't no sound but the sound of speed. Machine guns. job, I gotta fight my way through the hustle and mob. Sounds of the city pounding in my brain while another day goes down the drain. Yeah, yeah. But it's a 5 o'clock world when the whistle blows. No one owns a piece of my time, and there's a 5 o'clock for me inside my clothes, thinking that the world looks fine. Yeah. Holiday. Trading my time for the pay I get, living on money that I ain't made yet. Gotta keep going, gotta make my way, gotta live for the end of the day. Yeah, yeah. 'Cause it's a 5 o'clock world when the whistle blows. No one owns a piece of my time, and there's a long-haired girl who waits, I know, to ease my troubled mind. Yeah. In the shelter of her arms, everything's okay. She talks and the world knows slipping away. And I know the reason I can still go on when every other reason is gone. Yeah, yeah. In my 5 o'clock world, she waits for me. Nothing else matters at all. 'Cause every time my baby smiles at me, I know that it's all worthwhile. Yeah. Holiday. Friday night, I'm going nowhere. All the lights are changing, green to red. Turning over TV stations, situations running through my head. Looking back through time, you know it's clear that I've been blind, I've been a fool to open up my heart to all that jealousy, that bitterness, that ridicule. And if you want it, come and get it, crying out loud. The love that I was giving you was never in doubt. Let go your heart, let go your head, and feel it now. Let go your heart, let go your head, and feel it now. Babylon, Babylon. Saturday, I'm running wild, and all the lights are changing, red to green. Moving through the crowds, I'm pushing, chemicals are rushing in my bloodstream. Only wish that you were here, you know I'm seeing it so clear. I've been afraid to show you how I really feel. Admit to some of those bad mistakes I